thought what I'd do today is a kind of spur of the moment video, because who doesn't like those kind of things. This idea actually just came to me when I was getting ready for work just now. So what I wanted to do is talk to you guys about how I would describe depression to someone that doesn't actually deal with it, who may never actually deal with it and doesn't understand mental illness. Because if you yourself deal with it, or you want to know how to help someone who deals with it, it's a very difficult thing, because it's very hard to define and to explain to somebody that it's not something that's just all in your head and it's fake. It's an actual chemical imbalance in most cases, and it's a big deal. And this just idea kind of came into my mind because I was at dinner with my boyfriend yesterday, and I told him I was feeling a bit depressed lately. It's probably due to the changes of seasons. And he was like, well, what do you have to be depressed about? Isn't everything going well? And I said, that's the thing. It has nothing to do, it's not sadness in itself. So I'm just going to explain, obviously from my own perspective, what it's like. For everyone it's going to be very different, I'm sure. But just to explain how depression does not equal sadness. It's not like things are going wrong in your life and so you have a reason to be sad. Sometimes yes, but sometimes it's just brought on by an imbalance in your brain, a biochemical imbalance that can only be fixed by either a healthy lifestyle and exercise, or perhaps medication if you really need to consider that. Alright, so how I would describe it to people is that it's like dragging something along with you constantly. That is why I like the Black Dog video. So if you guys don't know that, I linked it in another vlog of mine, but look up Black Dog depression video and it's amazing. It's such a good video. I wanted to add in very quickly before I continue that a subscriber of mine, or someone commented on my video, his name was John Barnes, and he wanted my help, but he disappeared off the face of the earth. So John, if you're watching this, please contact me again and then we can talk. I'm sorry that was an aside, but I wanted to say that. So I would describe depression as dragging something with you in your life, and it's something that no matter what, even if you're happy, it's still there. It's still weighing on you. It's just this extra weight that you always seem to bear that other people don't seem to have. It makes you sluggish. When it really takes over your mind and your body, it feels like you're literally dragging yourself through life. So even just putting on today's makeup or making breakfast or whatever the case, it just makes it exponentially more difficult. You feel like, for some people, at least for myself, you get some physical manifestations as well. So sometimes my stomach will really hurt. Sometimes I'll want to emotionally eat because I have a very strong emotional eating component to me, which I've come a long way with. But sometimes I'll want to just sit down and just binge on whatever it is. It can be healthy food or it can be unhealthy food. It doesn't really matter. Of course, you have the junk food cravings, but it can be whatever is just available. Cereal, vegetables. I mean, that's not a bad thing, but I'm just saying, crackers, whatever is around. Sometimes it kills your appetite and you don't want to eat anything. The thought of food is so unappealing. Sometimes you don't even think you're worthy of eating that food. And that's how sometimes, depression could branch off into eating disorders. Luckily for me, I haven't. I mean, I did go through phases where I would binge and I had the emotional eating component, but never to the extent of a full-blown eating disorder. But I definitely struggled with body image as well, because depression can make you feel very worthless. So sometimes you can look at yourself and be like, how can anyone love me? How can anyone have strong, positive feelings for me? I'm not worth that. You don't love yourself. Even if you try to, it's very hard. I believe these are all things you can overcome with time, or at least get better with. I believe I've come a long way, but when I get into a slump, it's really bad. Like one of my friends said, who also struggles with depression, this was very, very well said and made me really think that when you're in a good place in your life, you're like, how could I have ever felt that low and that depressed? Like, you don't remember what it feels like to be that low. But when you're in that low slump, you're like, what does it feel like to be happy? You get those two really painful extremes. And it can be very terrifying, because you're like, how, am I ever going to feel happy again? When you're in a really depressive slump, you say, what is there even to take pleasure out of in this life? Because all the things that you cared about don't bring you joy. So let's say I'm in a really bad slump and I'm like, well, I'm just going to play one of my favorite video games right now and that will cheer me up. And I put on the game and I'm trying to get into it, I'm trying to be happy, but it's not working. So I've been learning that if I have a day like that when nothing is bringing me joy or pleasure, just to ride it out do my best. Try and take care of myself as best as I can on those days. So if I can do a bit of a workout or eat healthy or things that I know are going to help my brain, take my supplements, taking St. John's wort, I'm going to do that to help myself. But there's no guarantees that I'm going to be able to lift myself out of that. So that's another thing for people that are not dealing with depression, to understand that sometimes those that do will get into slumps where they can't help themselves. No one can help them. Even if they think another person can help them, it's not true in that moment. You have to ride out those feelings. You have to let yourself feel that. Journaling can help sometimes because that kind of takes your thoughts and puts it on paper, and you can leave on leave. But sometimes you just got to experience, be in that moment, kind of go for it. So today's a bit of a rant video, I guess. I just wanted to kind of talk about what I've been thinking about in terms of this. There's no, real answers. There's no real way to think about it. It's hard to describe. And even if you describe as best as you can to somebody, it doesn't mean they'll ever get it. And that's fine, because they're not supposed to. How do you explain to somebody what it's like to break a limb if you've never broken one before? How's the person supposed to understand that level and that intensity of pain? I've never broken anything, so I can't even imagine what it would be like to break my leg one day. I don't think anyone describing it in perfect detail would ever be able to convey the actual message to me. I would not know until I went through it. And depression is even trickier because it's just, people just think, depression, get over it. Pick yourself back up, make yourself happy, but it's not that easy. It's an imbalance, and it's something that takes work, and you need to surround yourself by supportive people and get really in tune with yourself and discover what you want and what you need to help yourself. So with that phone, I'm going to stop this video short, but thanks for watching, my precious gems, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye, everyone.